Napoleon Bonaparte, the man who would go on to conquer and enslave millions, was born on the island of Corsica to a family of Italian origin, a fact that would later fuel his insatiable desire for power and control. His early life, marked by a tumultuous relationship with his family and a penchant for violence, would set the stage for a reign of terror that would leave Europe in ruins. In 1779, Napoleon moved to mainland France, where he was commissioned as an officer in the French Royal Army in 1785, a position that would allow him to hone his military prowess and begin his ascent to power. As the French Revolution gained momentum in 1789, Napoleon saw an opportunity to advance his own interests and threw his support behind the revolutionary cause, promoting its ideals in Corsica and beyond. His rise to prominence was swift and merciless, as he crushed royalist insurgents in Paris on 13 Vendémiaire in 1795, a brutal display of force that would become a hallmark of his rule. The siege of Toulon in 1793, which he won decisively, marked a turning point in his career, as he began to garner recognition and respect from his peers. But beneath the surface of Napoleon's meteoric rise, a complex web of psychological motivations and insecurities was at play. His Corsican heritage and perceived outsider status in French society fueled a deep-seated need for validation and acceptance, which he sought to satisfy through his military conquests and imperial ambitions. As he commanded a series of military campaigns across Europe and the Middle East, leaving a trail of bloodshed and destruction in his wake, it became clear that Napoleon's actions were driven by a toxic mix of ego, ambition, and a desperate need for control. In 1796, he commanded a military campaign against the Austrians, a campaign that would showcase his tactical genius and cement his reputation as a brilliant military strategist. But as his power grew, so too did his paranoia and ruthlessness, as he eliminated any perceived threats to his rule and consolidated his grip on France and Europe. The reforms he implemented, while progressive and enlightened on the surface, were in reality a cleverly designed means of exerting his control over every aspect of French society, from the law to the administration. As Emperor of the French, Napoleon's grip on power was absolute, and his psychological manipulation of those around him was a key component of his success. He was a master of playing on the fears and insecurities of others, using his charisma and intelligence to bend people to his will. But this very ability to manipulate and control also made him intensely isolated and alone, as he became increasingly disconnected from reality and surrounded by yes-men and sycophants. The brief restoration of his rule during the 100 Days in 1815 was a desperate attempt to cling to power, as Napoleon's world began to unravel around him. But it was too late, and his final defeat was all but inevitable. As he stood on the deck of the HMS Bellerophon, the British warship that would take him into exile, Napoleon must have known that his time was running out. The man who had once commanded the fate of Europe was now a shadow of his former self, a broken and defeated figure, haunted by the ghosts of his own making. And yet, even in defeat, Napoleon's legacy continues to fascinate and horrify us, a testament to the enduring power of his personality and the devastating impact of his actions. As we gaze into the abyss of his psyche, we are forced to confront the darkest aspects of human nature, and the terrible consequences of allowing ambition and ego to run unchecked. The psychology of Napoleon Bonaparte is a stark reminder that even the most brilliant and capable among us can be driven by a madness for power, and that the line between genius and madness is often perilously thin. In the end, it is a haunting thought that lingers, long after the dust of history has settled. What other Napoleons are waiting in the wings, ready to unleash their own brand of chaos and destruction upon the world?